Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Brianna. This is Coffee Books and Bullet Journals. Today I'm going to be doing the mid-year book freakout tag with a glass of wine. Okay, so it's the middle of summer-a-thon right now, and I am currently working on the challenge of reading a drink with your favorite beverage. And then I decided I was going to film. I still had a glass of wine. I'm going to film and talk. Ready? Cool. This is going to be like not coffee talk, it's wine talk. Okay, so I'm going to be doing the mid-year freakout tag or book freakout tag. I did this last year. If you want to go look at it, it'll be up in the cards above. I don't recommend it though because it's cringy. That was like back in the day. Well, I say back in the day. It was a year ago. But anyways, my video quality has gotten immensely better, and so I'm afraid that if you go watch that video, you might unsubscribe from me. So, go click it at your own risk. Cool. It is interesting to see how these answers change year to year. Your reading tastes change, all of that. So I'm excited to go into this. So I have all of them written out. We're going to see how this goes. I'm also going to be doing it like a couple of questions at a time because I don't want to like take all of my books off of my shelf and not have, anything back there. So the first question is to talk about your favorite or the best book that you've read in 2019, and you know me, I can't pick one. So I'm going to talk about my favorite in each category. Next month I will probably do a like top 5 books of the year so far kind of thing. Also, if you want, I'll do a disappointments or worst books of the year so far. I didn't do that last year because I was trying to like stay positive, but like also I have some tea to spill. So if you want to see that worst books of the year, let me know down in the comments. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick like my favorite-ish book in each genre that I've like read multiple books of. So let's start with contemporary. Actually, a lot of these are going to be spoilers because I just read them like within the last month, and so I haven't even done a wrap-up for them yet. So there you go. There's some spoilers for my June wrap-up. So we'll start with contemporary, and even that, like, there's a toss-up. So I'm going to talk to you about both of them. One of them you know about, and that is Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. This is a debut novel about the first son of the United States and the Prince of Wales, I think. And their hate to friendship and then friendship to love. It's a male-male romance, and it's so good. Very, very good. It's a debut author. You've probably seen enough about it on BookTube these days. It's very popular. That was a high favorite of mine. The other one is The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. This is by far my favorite Christina Lauren book that I have ever read. It's the first one I gave 5 stars to. And yeah, really, really enjoyed it. Also really liked the fact that there was like a lot of, and I'll talk about this more in my wrap up, but there was like some actual food safety knowledge in this, which was exciting. All right, so on to another genre. Let's talk about fantasy because I've been reading a lot of fantasy this year. And again, this is also a spoiler because it's one I just finished up. And so my favorite fantasy book of the year so far is Finale by Stephanie Garber. I gave the other 2, like Caraval and Legendary, 4 stars, and this one was a 5-star read. It wrapped everything up, and it also kind of tied a couple of things that I wasn't necessarily a fan of in the first 2 books, tied it around and gave it kind of a reasoning for why Stephanie did what she did in those books. And it made so much sense, and I don't really want to go into it because if you haven't read it, it's a spoiler, but I'll talk a little bit more in my wrap-up. But this was a wonderful, wonderful conclusion to the Caraval series. I don't know where I'm going to put all these books. All right, moving on to science fiction. I have read a few, not as many science fiction books this year, but I have read a few, and or like I'm kind of tying like sci-fi and dystopian into like the same thing. So for that, my favorite book was obviously Illuminae by J. Kristoff and Amy Kaufman. This is a first in a trilogy, the Illuminae Files. This one is my favorite. I also was able to meet J. Kristoff, and he was able to sign and personalize this book for me, so I really enjoyed that. This is a deep space community, I guess, and the whole book is told in mixed media. There's no like actual storyline. I also highly recommend that if you haven't read it in audio version, definitely do that, because there's just so much more. There's an added layer of excitement and drama to it. Sorry, my ring light's like showing up on the glare. So highly recommend the audio version of it, and yeah, it was a great book. I read the whole trilogy. I loved the whole trilogy, but Illuminae was my favorite. All right, and then I also have read several graphic novels this year, and so I just want to like briefly talk about those. I know we're already like 10 minutes into this video probably, and we've only gotten one question in, so cool. But my favorite graphic novel of 2019 so far was Sunstone. I've read volumes 1 through 3 and really, really enjoyed it. It's very sex positive. It is very consensual, and it's about a female-female relationship that's a like a BDSM relationship. So highly recommend it. Obviously, it's an adult content, but really, really good. The art style is very good, and the writing is phenomenal. All right, the second question is to talk about the best sequel of 2019, and I've read more sequels this year than I have last year, but I have mixed feelings about a lot of them, and so one of them that like for it to be like the best sequel, I really want it to be like the second book was better than the first. And for me, that was easily World Without End by Ken Follett. I bet he read this with Sarah from Sarah's Nightstand. We read it from like December to January, or through January, so this counts. I read it very early in the year, but it does count. And Pillars of the Earth, I gave 4 stars to. This one I gave 5 stars to. And I enjoyed this. This is about... it's a historical fiction, and the first one takes place during this, like, you know, the building of all the cathedrals and things like that. It's a 1,000-page book about building cathedrals, which, like, you don't think would sound very good, but it really was. And then this book takes place, I want to say, like, several hundred years later, and it's kind of not the ancestors, the, like, what am I trying to say? Like, the great-great-great-grandchildren of the people that are in Pillars of the Earth are in this one, and it's during the Black Plague. I don't remember if it's several hundred. I don't know. Now I'm like guessing that it wasn't several hundred years, but anyways, regardless. So this takes place during the Black Plague. There's a lot of like death and turmoil, and there's still a ton of politics in this book. And yeah, if you like historical fiction and you like politics, this series was really good. I have not read the third one. That's one that's on my list for this year. But the first 2, really good. All right, the third question is to what is it? Pick a book that is a new release. So it came out this year, but that I haven't gotten to yet. And I'm really bad about getting new release books. I'm either getting ARCs, and so I'm like reading them beforehand, so I've like already read them. If I do pick up new books, generally those are the ones that I want to read first. But this is a book that I got during Book of the Month and have not picked it up yet, and that is Sky Without Stars by Jessica Brody and Joanne Rendell. This is a sci-fi fantasy. I believe it's young adult, but it's basically a Les Mis retelling in space. So, I mean, that's gotta be good, right? However, it is a chunker. I want to say it's over 600 pages. So yeah, it's daunting. When I got it in my book, I was like, oh dear Lord. But I'm excited about it. It's definitely something that like is intriguing. I wouldn't have picked it up if it wasn't. But like I said, I haven't quite had a chance to do that yet. The next question is, what is your most anticipated release for the second half of 2019? And boy, are there a bunch. The first one being Girls of Storm and Shadow by Natasha Nyan. This is the sequel to Girls of Paper and Fire. I do have an arc of it, but I'm still anticipating, obviously, like the final release. The cover is absolutely stunning, and I can't wait to have that sitting on my shelf. Yeah, the other another one that I am highly anticipating is The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. This is the first book that she has written since The Night Circus back in 2011. So I'm excited to see like if her writing style has changed. I really enjoyed her writing style, but yes, it's wordy. So I wonder if this one will be like a little bit more refined. I don't know. I don't hate it though. Like I loved The Night Circus. It's a 5-star read. This one I think has like pirates and like I don't even know, a library and magic, and like I'm here for it. And it's beautiful. The cover's gorgeous. I wasn't able to get an arc for this one, so I'm gonna have to wait until November, but yeah. The other huge releases that I am looking out for are Queen of Nothing by Holly Black. I was able to finish The Wicked King, and yes, very, like, I hate it when I'm caught up on books and then the book ends in a cliffhanger. And I'm like, but I want to read the next one now, but it doesn't come out until November 19th. Cool. The other books that I am excited about are The Toll by Neil Shusterman. This is the third and final book in the Arc of a Scythe trilogy, being Scythe and Thunderhead being the first two. And another like series that I'm just starting to get into are the Nevernight Chronicles. Is that what they're called? I don't know. But Nevernight, God's Grave, and then Dark Dawn is the one that comes out this fall. And those are by Jay Kristoff. So those are some of the books that I'm like super anticipating. Like my wallet is like, you know, my bank account is worried about the second half of the year, but that's okay. All right, the next question is, what is the biggest disappointment for you of the book that was the biggest disappointment, you know, of 2019? I have 3 for various reasons. The first one being 99% Mine by Sally Thorne. This one I read back in January, and I really, really loved The Hating Game, and so I was really like hyped and anticipating this book, and it just really let me down. It was something that like, and that was my own expectations. Like I had high expectations because her debut novel was so good that I was hoping that her sophomore novel would live up to that, and it didn't. So that's like my own expectations though. So the other 2 are disappointments, not because like they were hyped on booktube at all, but the synopsis sound really good. I was like really kind of wanting to enjoy these. I feel like these books could have been so much better, and I've ranted about a couple of them, so I'll link the vlogs up there if I remember. So the first one is This is Where It Ends by Marieke Nijkamp. This is about a school shooting, and there was just not enough plot development or character development in this. The shooter was the shooter because he was a bad guy. Like there was no psychological reasoning as to why he like wanted to shoot up a school. And it was very, very, very frustrating. But this book could have been really good. I mean, the whole book takes place in 54 minutes. It could have been really good, and it wasn't. And then the second one was Golden State by Ben H. Winters. This was a book of the month book, and I was really expecting to enjoy this. This is about a society like in a state that's similar to California, but the whole premise is that you can't lie. So it's an interesting dystopian take, and I thought it would be really good, but it just ended up becoming very methodical, and it's a very, very small book, and as I was getting towards the end of it, they were introducing new things into it, and they weren't like resolving anything. And I even like went and looked up. I was like, well, maybe this is like a first in a series, that there's a sequel that'll answer all of these questions. But no, it is a standalone. So I was disappointed and only got 2 stars. All right, the flip side of that question is, what book was the biggest surprise of 2019? And for me, that had to be An Anonymous Girl by Greer Hendricks and Sarah Pekkanen. Now, thrillers are kind of a hit or miss for me. A lot of them tend to just end up middle of the road or not good, but I'm very rarely ever blown away by a thriller, and this one did it for me. Now, I think part of it, like, I'm a little bit biased because this, like, the main plot device is a psychology experiment gone horribly wrong, and I was a psych major in college, and I love psychology experiments, so, like, using that as a plot device, fantastic. So yes, I enjoyed that part of it, and the fact that like that was like the whole story revolved around that really, really helped bring this book up to its 5-star rating. All right, the next question is, who is your new favorite author? And that can be either a new, like a debut author, or it can be just a new to you author. So I have a couple again. So I'm gonna pick a debut author and then someone who's not a debut author. So I already talked about this, but Casey McQuiston is absolutely just a fantastic person. First off, she has like an absolute adorable presence on social media, on Twitter. She is such a joy. Like, she's quirky and just, I love her and I want to meet her. And I haven't gotten to, because, you know, Utah's not gonna bring anybody who wrote a male romance to sign books in Utah. That's just not gonna happen. So then the other author that is new to me, that is not like a new author, and that is Fredrik Backman. I love Fredrik Backman's work. I will actually like talk about another one of these books here in a minute, but I have 2 of the books that I have read. So I've read My Grandmother Asked Me to Tell You She's Sorry and A Man Called Ova. These are both 4.5 and 5 stars. So good. And then I have 3 other ones. So I have Britt Marie Was Here, which is kind of like a companion to My Grandmother Asked Me to Tell You She's Sorry, I think. Yeah, it takes place in the same universe. And then I have Beartown and Us Against You, which is the sequel to Beartown. And yeah, this is one of the books that like I have to get to by the end of the year. I will talk about that in a second. I love Fredrik Backman's writing. I'm so excited that I have all of these, and most of them I'm able to get at thrift shops, which is really cool. These are the only 2 I didn't. So, all right, the next question is, who is your fictional crush of 2019? And I don't normally get fictional crushes. I have characters that I like really love, but I don't necessarily like, you know, have like book boyfriends, but there are a couple. So I just recently read Royally Endowed by Emma Chase, which is technically the 3rd one in the series. I forgot I didn't read the 2nd one apparently, but you know, they're all companions. It's fine. And Logan was just an absolute love. I mean, like, I love him. He was very protective and very, like, he's the, you know, security guard. And so, like, he obviously has that very protective nature to him. And then the other one, more like a young adult fantasy world, I really, really love Julian from Caraval. Don't like the way they treated him in Legendary. Finale I don't want to talk about because it's a huge spoiler. But, I after reading Finale, I know why they treated him like that in Legendary, but you know, the spoilers. All right, and then the next question is, who is your favorite character in the books that you have read in 2019? And last year I had a really hard time thinking of the answer to this question, and this year it was like, without a doubt, this is the character. Anybody want to guess? It's Aiden. Like, obviously. Like, whoever knew a computer could be like the coolest character I've read in the 63 books I've read this year. Yeah, there you go. That's Jay Kristoff and Amy Kaufman for you. Okay, the next question is, what is a book that made you cry in 2019? And I don't cry very often in books. Like, I might tear up, but I don't tend to cry. I cry in movies, but I don't cry in books. Yeah, we won't talk about Endgame. Okay, so, but there is a series that really, really made me tear up, and it's just because of like who I am as a person. I don't think that this would necessarily be like everybody's cup of tea, but I've talked about A Dog's Purpose and A Dog's Journey. These books are gut-wrenching and also just humorous at the same time. So this is definitely one where you like laugh and then you cry. So like I said, not a book that like maybe would be everybody's cup of tea. Is that the right word? Okay, but I cried. So moving on to the flip side of that question, and what is a book that made you laugh or made you happy? And that one I have a ton of, but one of the ones that like I audibly like laughed while I was reading it, which like, have you ever done that where you're just like reading a book and like and you're like in public? Because that happened to me while I was on the train. Oops. My grandmother asked me to tell you she's sorry by Frederick Bachman. This, like, it's not supposed to be a happy, like, go lucky book, but the grandmother at the beginning of the book is freaking hilarious, and she has like these little one-liners that I just like was like like in public while I'm reading, I'm starting to like laugh out loud. So I think that one wins the prize. All right, the next question is, what is the most beautiful book that you have received or picked up this year? And this series is probably my favorite as far as covers. Now, I think I actually bought Caraval in 2018, but these two I did pick up in 2019, and they're just stunning. And I mean, like, they glitter, they shimmer, they don't match, like the colors don't match when they're sitting on the shelf because you have two black ones and then purple, but like they're so beautiful, and I love them to pieces. The other book that I really, really love that I was able to pick up this year is my Barnes & Noble edition of The Wicked King by Holly Black. Not only is it just stunning in this black, and I wish I had the Barnes & Noble edition of The Cruel Prince so that they would match, because I only have the regular one, but I also just absolutely love the naked cover of it. Like, it's this mint green, which is my favorite color, and yeah, it just makes me happy. So those are my beautiful books of 2019. Okay, the last question is, what are some of the books that you have to read in the rest of the year, other than all of them? Like, I want to read all of the books. But anyways, there are like a few that I definitely want to get to, not including my ARCs or books that haven't come out yet. So books I already own. So Vengeful by V.E. Schwab, I really want to get to. I need to finish the rest of the Harry Potter books. And I already talked about that I need to read Beartown. And then I still have probably half of my 19 books in 2019. Now, like, a lot of those are the Harry Potter books that I still need to read this year. So there's a lot. I'll link that video up in the description below, so maybe you can see which ones I haven't read yet. But yeah, that is pretty much it. So that is all that I have for you today. I'm not going to tag anybody because I know a lot of people have been doing this tag already, but if you would like to do this video, consider yourself tagged. And if you are new here and you have not yet subscribed, there's a little red button that you can do so down below the video. And all the links to my other social media will be in the comments below if you would like to be my friend on any other platform. Thank you all for watching, and we will see you next time. Bye!